Hey there, everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, the host of the Dark Stuff channel here on YouTube. Thank you so much for checking out my latest video. As always, it is much appreciated. This week's video, I'm going to do a review of one of the most buzzed about records of the entire year, and that is Wet Leg. Their second album, Moisturizer, just came out about a week or so ago. I wanted to listen to it more than just once before popping off with my initial thoughts. I've actually listened to the album maybe 6 or 7 times at this point, so I feel like I've really absorbed it. In the indie rock world, there is no more anticipated record this year than the Wet Leg record. I mean, there just isn't. And that's because their 2022 album, their self-titled album right here, okay, Wet Leg, was such a massive success. Number 1 in the UK, number 1 in Australia, didn't chart in America because our charting system is stupid. Won all sorts of awards in the UK, and as far as their success in the United States, it was almost instantaneous. When they put out their first single, Chase Long, in I think 2021, it was like instantly viral. And I no longer use satellite radio, but when I did, and I listened to Sirius XM, it was in massive rotation. I played the song on my radio show quite a bit, and I was like, who is this band? You know, who is Wet Leg? Why are they such a buzz band already? I started noticing all of the summer festivals were lining up, and they were on every festival. They were on Coachella, they were on Bonnaroo, they were on all of these festivals that were real big back in 2022, and they'd literally released one song. Okay, well, that debut album was pretty awesome. Had a number of great songs on it. You know, it had Chase Long, it had I Don't Want to Go Out, it had Wet Dream, it had Your Mom, it had Piece of Shit. You know, it had all sorts of really excellent tunes on that record. And for me, it was a very indie rock sounding album, a lot of 90s influences. A lot of people like to say it was post-punk stuff. I think of that as late 70s, early 80s. I didn't hear that much. I mean, I was hearing a lot of PJ Harvey and stuff like that on that first album. One of the things that I really loved about Wet Leg and their debut especially was it sounded like maybe a dozen of your favorite records from the previous like 15 or 20 years all perfectly meshed together into a style that is both unique sounding and familiar at the same time. And the only other band that I can think of that did it that well is this band, Elastica. Okay, back in 94 or 95, I don't know, the print is really small on the CD, I can't tell. So let's say about 30 years ago, this band did the same thing. They took a post-punk, they took 80s music, they took all of this stuff, Wire and all these other bands that you know you've heard of before, and they put them all together in one thing, and this album was perfection. Now, I worried about Wet Leg because what happened to Elastica was it took them years and years to make a follow-up to that album, and nobody cared by that point. Back in the 1900s, folks, if you're young, leaving 5 years between albums, that's an eternity. Okay, the only people that survive that are Guns N' Roses and My Bloody Valentine. If you wait that long between albums, you will be forgotten, okay? And that's kind of what happened to Elastica, unfortunately. They were a great band, but even I didn't hear the follow-up for years after the fact because I had moved on. I really hope that Wet Leg would not be like Elastica and either take too long to make a follow-up, break up before a follow-up, whatever, because the initial foundation of the band is so strong. Well, now we're 3 years later, okay? The record is out, Moisturizer. Initially, Wet Leg were a two-piece. It was Rhiann Teasdale and Hester Chambers, and they were the two front women, guitar and singer. They both played guitar, they both sang, and that was how it was. But when they took it out on tour to fill out the sound, they did get 3 dudes to play with them. Those 3 dudes, Henry, Josh, and Ellis, are now part of the band. They're not just touring members. Supposedly, the album was written as a 5-piece band with all of them together, and it does mark for a different sound, okay? There are certainly songs from the record that still sound like the old Wet Leg. You know, it's not as though they did Metal Machine music and it's completely unrecognizable or something like that. No, it still sounds like them, but they do have a fuller sound. It's less lo-fi, it's less, I guess, post-punk if that's your bag, and a little bit more 90s with, you know, elements of like the Breeders and Belly and some other bands, along with some harder edge bands too, because one of the things about the sound of this record is it does kind of alternate between a more abrasive track and then a poppy track and then an abrasive track and then a poppy track, and it actually flows really, really well. That was a solid decision on either the band or the producer or whoever was making those calls. The lead-off single to the record, Catch These Fists, great song. That would come in as more of the aggressive track or the harder track. It was a great single because it actually sounds very much like the first album, and so it was kind of grabbing those people who remember the band from the first record, who are anticipating it. Then you get this cool new song and you're like, oh yeah, this is why I like Wet Leg, okay? But it doesn't sound that much like the rest of the album, if I'm being totally honest. Part of the new presentation with Wet Leg is Rianne Teasdale is now acting more as the front person and singing without playing guitar. She does play guitar sometimes, obviously, but it has gotten in their presentations when they go on television, at least in the States. I saw them on like The Tonight Show or some other shows, and they just recently did an NPR concert. You know, for most of these media appearances, they're doing the a more choreographed and calculated thing of always wearing the same clothes and always doing the same kind of deal. And like Rianne is now appearing in like the all white, and she's wearing like tighty whitey underwear, and she's constantly flexing her muscles and being like an unusual sex symbol, okay? Because not in America, she's not the prototypical sex symbol, but she clearly is one to another degree. I mean, she's aware of how attractive she is and is not afraid to flaunt that to get people's attention. I don't think it's anything beyond that, just to get people's attention, and it works. I mean, you got it just on the cover, which is a really weird looking cover, but she's really striking on the front of that. So the album opens up with the song CPR, which I think is awesome. Okay, I mean, just a huge bass line, the chugging along. It's a great riff. Rianne's vocals, she comes in and it's super sensual and sexy and she sounds great. And then the chorus comes in and that's like, is it love or suicide? Is it love or suicide? And I think that right there kind of encapsulates the theme overall of the album. I think this album is mostly about being really, really, really in love or infatuated or, you know, at the beginning cycle of a relationship where everything is awesome, okay? So you're talking about how much in love you are, although you are a person who is cynical and negative and doesn't believe in love. And that is causing some kind of mental distress or some kind of a problem. That's how I sort of see it. So when she's like, you know, CPR, call 999, get the CPR. I'm assuming that's 911 in the UK, but she's saying call 911. So there's this contradiction of like, I'm feeling these loving feelings, but I also don't feel like I don't believe in love, right? There's lines like, are you the one, my ride or die? When I'm with you, I feel alive. Is it fun? Is this a vibe? Is it love? Question mark. Okay. Put your mouth to mine and give me CPR. Call the 999, give me CPR. She's freaking out, you know, with having these kinds of feelings. So she says, I'm in love and you're to blame. I'm in love and you're to blame. And so there's the thing of like, I'm having these feelings that I don't really want and you're the cause of them. The second song on side one is a song called Liquidize. It's another one of the poppier ones. So these are, when I say poppy, I don't mean necessarily like what's mainstream pop right now, like a Charlie XCX, or who I always use as my example, or like Sabrina Carpenter or someone like that. I just mean it's catchier, it's less abrasive, right? And the song starts off, here she is, love struck me down. The fuck am I doing here? Oh, you must have me hypnotized to fall in love with you tonight. So again, now it's sort of going backwards and being like, I don't know if I support this love stuff. I'm not sure that I'm really into it. We'll move on to the next track, which is Catch These Fists. And I've already sort of addressed this song. It's a great rocker. She has this line where she says, I know all too well just what you're like. I don't want your love. I just want to fight. That's the rejection of it, in my opinion, right? And then there's a little bit of like sort of what it's like I guess, to be a beautiful woman in the modern day is that everywhere time she goes out, she gets harassed by dudes who just like say, hey, I think you're my type, I like you, whatever, you know. Maybe they're being just innocent flirtation, maybe they're being assholes. Either way, she's pretty sick of it. When she says he don't get puss, he gets the boot. I saw him sipping on a dark fruit. This always happens late at night. Some guy comes up, says I'm his type. I just threw up in my mouth when he just tried to ask me out. Yeah, don't approach me. I just want to dance with my friends. Now, you could interpret that a number of ways. Maybe she's now involved. She doesn't want random people coming up and hitting on her or whatever, or it's just a general annoyance, or is not really connected and it just sounded good together. I don't really know. Okay, the next tune, Davina McCall, another one of the poppier songs. So this one's just more of a love song. It's very, very catchy. It's a good one. It says, dream about us taking holidays together. We won't even care if we get shitty weather. Uh-oh, because you're like the sun. Days turn to months and months turn to years. We're growing with the pain. We dry each other's tears. You know you're my sweet baby angel. So that's just a nice love song. So again, I'm sensing a back and forth, right? Back and forth. I'm in love. I don't believe in love. I hate this. Stop. Get out of my face. Don't do this. And that continues. Now, Jennifer's Body, initially, when I saw that title, I got excited because I thought it was going to be a Hole cover. You know, because Hole has that song, Jennifer's Body. That was the inspiration for the title to the movie Jennifer's Body, which was a movie with Megan Fox from a couple years ago. And I didn't necessarily think it would be a Hole cover. Obviously, you start the song and 2 minutes into it, 2 seconds into it, you know it's not. But that song is 30 years old. It's ripe for a cover. I'm just saying somebody else should maybe cover it. And this one is one that I'm not super sure about the lyrics. I don't really get the title, you know, how it applies here, because it says, you're giving Jennifer's body, I'll be needy for you. So maybe it's just like, this is another one of these lusty songs, or I'm really into this woman, it seems like in this case. She says lines like, I like you. Every day starts and ends with you. Hold me down. I get high on you. Go to sleep just so I can dream of you. So it sounds like it's a love song. I think Jennifer's Body has more to do with the movie, perhaps. I didn't see the movie, so I don't know. Now, the next song is the one that is the absolute most confusing to me, and that is, okay, first of all, the title I thought was mangetout. Okay, it's mangetout, and I looked at that and I was like, mangetout, what the fuck does that mean? You know, like, I don't even know what that is. And I was on the verge of calling one of my British friends and being like, is mangetout like an expression in the UK? Does that mean something? What the hell are they talking about? But then I listened to the song, and there's the get lost forever. So I'm saying, okay, get out. There's a line, oh man, I hope you're going to get out soon. So then I said, okay, it's just man, get out. And it's just all one word. And I did my radio show earlier, and I said that's what it stood for, man, get out. Then, shout out to Professor Sky, who is a album reviewer on YouTube, also, who did a review of the record and pointed out that mangetout, or whatever, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher the is a French word. And it's a French word that means pea. Not to take a pea. I mean like a pea, like the vegetable. And it's some type of special pea. And it's mangetout. I don't know, hold on, let me look it up. So it's actually, I'm looking it up right now on the dictionary, and it does say it's pronounced manzu, mangetout, okay? It is an edible potted pea, and that's what they call it in the UK, I guess. So if I would have called my friend and asked him what mangetout meant, I would have been treated as an idiot. And then when I said it just means man, get out. I do like my theory better because she says, so these are the lyrics to the chorus when she says the word, and I didn't even catch it. She says, you think I'm pretty cool, you want to fuck me, I know, most people do. Here, take this packet, you read it, it says, mangetout, I gave you magic beans, I hope you're going to get out soon. So I'm totally thrown by what this song means, because I really heard the man get out, and I thought this was a breakup song, because she's basically like, nice try, get out of the way, you're in our way, you bottom feeder, too bad you couldn't stay, you're in our way, get lost forever. And it's get lost forever, and man get out, and you get out of the... Okay, I thought it was one thing, and then they're throwing this French word in there, and so I'm completely confused. I do think the chorus is kind of interesting when she says, you think I'm pretty cool, you want to fuck me, I know, most people do. Like, that is a really solid line, and there's a little bit of arrogance in there, but there's also a little bit of, yeah, this is the way I mean, it kind of sums up sort of her attitude and this new sexuality that she's presenting on stage when she does these performances. It is a lot of like, I know you want to fuck me, most people do, but it's also like, you're not going to get me because you have no idea who I'm interested in, you have no idea what I like, you have this built-in thing because you're seeing me dance around in my underwear, and that's your belief system. So I don't know. I'm going to move on from this one because I just don't understand what the fuck it's about, to be honest with you. We turn over to side 2. And the first song on side 2 is Pond Song. This is a good, catchy song. Again, I thought it might be a Dinosaur Jr. cover. They have a song called Pond Song or Pond or whatever. Anyways, it's not. It's another original song, kind of a love song. Kiss me once, once for luck. I've never been so deep in love. So, this very lovelorn on this particular track. Good and catchy. I love it. Okay, the track Pokemon comes up next. I don't think it's about the game Pokemon or any of the characters or anything. I've never played it. It's another sort of catchy one. The side 2 sort of veers away a little bit from the rocker, catchy sort of vibe that was going on side 1. This is just a little bit more of the catchier side. Okay, next up is Pillow Talk, another really sexy sort of tune, another lusty kind of a tune where it's like, every night I hold my pillow, I wish I was holding you. Every night I kiss my pillow, I wish I was holding you. Every night I lick my pillow, I wish I was licking you. Every time I fuck my pillow, guess what? I wish I was fucking you. That's the lyrics to that one. Because I get oh so lonely looking at your photograph. You know that when I'm gone. Yeah, this is that I want it bad. So I think this is just sort of like, yeah, I'm just thinking about you. I've been out on the road or whatever in my band. I'm touring all over the country, but I'm thinking about you all the time. I'm lusting after you. And it'd be a fun song to be on the receiving end of, is all I'm saying with Pillow Talk. The next song up is called Don't Speak, and it is not a No Doubt cover. Okay, I was kind of hoping it was, again, going for this third attempt that maybe they're going to do a cover from back in the 90s because their sound is so 90s influenced, but no, not in this case. Again, strike 3, we're out of that. There are no cover songs on the album. It starts off, I don't speak Italian, I don't speak French, I don't need Je t'aime, babe. What, French again? You know this makes sense. See, when she says I don't speak French and then says French, that's confusing. You do speak French, clearly. I can say I love you just by looking in your eyes. I don't need te amo, which is Spanish, not it. Well, it could be Italian too. But I'll say it if you like. I'll say whatever you like. 1121, it doesn't do much for me. It's an okay song, but I don't think it's really... It'd probably be my least favorite if I had to rank them. And then the album closes with the song called You and Me at Home, which I think is a beautiful song and really great and really stands out. On the one hand, you start off with CPR at the beginning of the album where she's like, call 999 for I need CPR. You know, she's, I'm so in love, I'm so overwhelmed. And then you cut to the end of the record, and this was more than an infatuation, apparently, because now it seems like this is a time later. They're looking back. The relationship is solid. Now we're just kind of sitting at home chilling. We're like a real couple. We're like doing the norm or whatever, and we're not, there's not all that extreme excitement, extreme anxiety, extreme everything going on with that first love, that infatuation when it starts. And that kind of closes out the album right there. There is a new bonus edition, a digital bonus edition that came out a little bit later. I'm not going to talk about those tracks because honestly I haven't listened to them yet. I had the vinyl, so that's what I listened to. I don't really give numbers in terms of like out of 5, out of 10, but I do think this is a solid record. I like it better than the debut. I think the debut had some awesome songs on it, but it was also a little bit inconsistent. It had a couple of clunkers. This one, Moisturizer, maybe has a clunker or two, but maybe just one. Okay, so that's pretty much going to take care of my review. I feel overwhelmingly positive about the record. It is pretty much what I wanted out of a new Wet Leg album and more. It's not just a mere repeat of the first album, which is I think what happens to some bands when an indie band does kind of cross over into a more mainstream audience, like say the Strokes did. They made it with this cool indie record, and then the instinct is we don't want to change that. We want to do it again because we don't want people to be pissed off. And then you get the inevitable, well, why is this exactly the same as the previous record? Why can't you do something different? And maybe that's what Wet Leg was trying to avoid. I don't know if it was as conscious as anything like that, but I have seen a lot of critical sort of knocking on them, saying they don't like the lyrics. They think some of it's kind of half-assed. It's a little bit too polished in some ways because the last one was so raw. It's like, again, you can't just do the same thing over and over. And as far as the lyrics go, I could have been wrong about everything I just said in the entirety of the review. That was my belief, that it was about someone who is in love who doesn't believe in love. And that was the ultimate contradiction of the album. And then slowly over time, by the end of the record, it's worked out, and it's you and me at home, and we're enjoying our life together. That's how I see it. That doesn't necessarily have to be how you see it. I would very much like to see Wet Leg in concert. I think they would be really, really great. So far, no dates in my area, but they are doing U.S. touring, so, could happen. All right, this will wrap it up. Leave your comments. If you had a different thought or two about this record, feel free to let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.